Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be back here again. I've just celebrated a birthday, and as one of my presents, I was given a book that says I'm to write down why am I thankful. And in this age, I think one of the reasons I am thankful is I feel in my heart of hearts, and based upon what I'm seeing, the people are finally speaking. We know corporations aren't people. You know what scares me the most now? When there's bipartisanship and they agree that corporations should be protected no matter what. They've got a privacy bill that they think is going to come out of Congress. I hope they think twice, because what are they going to do? Yeah, you don't have to opt in to the acceptances of all the things that we never know what they're saying anyway is all about. That's one thing. But the other thing is, if you don't like the content, and even though they're supposed to limit it, but I'm not sure how, what happens is you got to give the corporations 2 years to adjust to your lawsuit. 2 years to adjust? Do they give us even 2 seconds to adjust? I don't think so. I think the time has come when we start putting real people into office, whether it's on the local, the state, or the federal level. We need people with smarts, not people who are beholden to the corporation for everything that they get. No siree. Bipartisanship should be on the part of we the people. Today, the New York Times is striking after 40 years. 40 years they've never had a strike. The railroads weren't allowed to strike. The homeless people, as I've mentioned before, a couple of them who are in California, are postdoctoral students who can't afford housing. In New York City, our poverty rate has risen dramatically. I think it's 14%. And 24% in the Bronx. So we got problems in America, and we got problems globally. Too much to the corporations. Yeah, they suffered during the pandemic, but so did we. The PPE money that was supposed to support workers, it never went to them. Billions have been squandered on scammers. Billions. There's no owner's manual for all that money that was dispersed. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Where did it go? Didn't go to most of us workers or we the people. Not even a little. So now, if they pass a bill, we still have to be able to give corporations time to adjust to our lawsuits? Makes no sense to me. They've got the upper hand anyway. Big oil? Hey, they've been causing climate denial, climate misinformation for years, and they still don't want to stop. They don't want to stop the propaganda, even though it's destroying our biodiversity and our food supply on this planet. That's what they're discussing in Montreal as we speak. Biodiversity, food production. Food production in this country and all over the world is 1/3 of the emissions. 1/3 of all emissions is big agri. And what is big agri promoting? More industrialization, more unhealthy products for people to eat, making it cheap for people to have diabetes, obesity, and other ailments because of the pollution that's generated by big agri, and for the privilege of us having all of these diseases. Well, oil gets subsidies in the trillions, and big agri globally gets over $540 billion in subsidies, not counting the real estate breaks that they get as well. So don't you think we, the people, deserve a voice? One thing you can say about inflation: wages do have to go up. People need to live. It's not right that kids who go to the public universities in New York are homeless because they can't afford to live anywhere and go to school at the same time. And yet our mayor is saying, oh, he's going to do something phenomenal. He's going to build 500,000 units over 10 years. God forbid he should be mayor for 10 years. And he's going to do this by not thinking about environmental consequences during a time when building in New York City is over the top, because developers forget when they've had see-through buildings before. I've driven down most of the streets of Manhattan. I see the empty storefronts. A lot of those storefronts can be built by people who are homeless, who need affordable housing, and it can now become multi-use development. Whole office buildings can be multi-use. When I sample my taxi population, because I take cabs in New York City, they all say to me they're pretty happy being online, ordering their stuff. I may object to ordering clothing and other things online. I like to be able to see, touch, and get that feeling of what I'm purchasing. For me, purchasing has always been something that I enjoy doing, but not too much. Not that I don't spend. I could spend a lot of money in 15 minutes. That's all I need. Because I usually know, just like that, what do I really like. So let's think about where we're going in America. We got to shake up the old politics. We can't afford politics as usual, because we need investment, real investment, accountable investment in infrastructure. And that's not just roads and bridges. No, sir. It is also Wi-Fi. Everyone says, well, people like to be able to connect on the computers or on their cell phones. Well, as we learned during the pandemic, not everyone's connected, and they should be. Because we never know when something's going to hit us again. As we uncover the permafrost in all of the nations that have permafrost, like Greenland, like Russia, Siberia, Alaska, we're uncovering pathogens that we've never seen before. And most of those pathogens are not going to be bacterial. They're going to be viral. And it's going to be a challenge for our systems. So we got to be connected with everyone. And we've got to think smart. The old ways of agriculture were really the best ways. We should be investing in the indigenous people in all our countries. They know how to responsibly reclaim the land. And that's not using fancy tractors and plowing in between the fields and using commercial fertilizers that reduce the land that you can actually sow your crops on. No, it's going back to the old ways. I remember in the 60s when I saw photographs of 4 different crops planted in a small area. And while we're thinking crops and areas, about 85 to 90% of all of our food is really produced on small farms where they're farming for themselves and they're farming for their small communities. And they're not causing the emissions that big agri is causing. That's on the agenda in Montreal today. It's a special meeting of all the nations. And yeah, they can agree in principle, but so far, nobody's done anything really to get us away from fossil fuels. In our country, we got room for renewables to grow. If we've got 5 or 10%, I'd say it's a lot. Now, we've got things that we have to do. And once again, I got to come back and say, I'm grateful. After 10 years, I think people are actually catching up with me. And they know that they're being abused. And they know that they deserve higher wages and benefits. And they're striking. And they're going to strike all over this country and other countries for higher wages. And don't worry about housing. Housing prices will eventually come down. And don't worry about the supply chains. That's not what's causing inflation. What's causing inflation is very simple. Corporations suffered for a couple of years because we were in hibernation during the pandemic. And now they're charging what everyone says they will pay. You stop purchasing their goods, prices will come down. You make enough of a ruckus about how much you need for a minimum wage, prices will come down. And it's the way it's always been. You know, if you let people get away with, I'm going to do it on my honor, they may lie. You don't do that when it comes to the economy. You make sure that sooner or later the prices come down. Sure, everyone's debating windfall profits on oil. My feeling is take away some of the subsidies, give it to renewables. Same with big agri. Encourage cheaper quality food for people in need. Have markets set up with what they're calling ugly fruits and vegetables and other products that may be short-dated. Sell them off at a deep discount. Don't throw it out. Give it away. There's a lot that can be done, and I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing in terms of strikes, in terms of community activism, in terms of letting people know this is not good enough for the average human being in America or any other country. We deserve the right to have good food, clean water, clean air, and a healthy environment. And whoever wants to disturb it, they should be paying. Not us, the taxpayer, the poor, and the middle class. We can't carry the burdens of every society. It's time for equality among all of us. But I'm hopeful, forever hopeful. I know a lot has to be done, but I also know that there are a lot of smart people out there, and we can do it. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're willing to change, you can change. I'm trying. and I imagine a lot of others are too. I see positivity on the horizon, even though we live in uncertain times. But hey, times have always been uncertain. So, God bless you. Have a good week. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. Bye now.